Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here, back with some more digital marketing advice. Now, recently Google has been rolling out their helpful content update. I've posted a few videos about this in recent weeks on this channel, which have been some of the more popular videos I've posted actually. A lot of people are quite concerned about this update, and now that it's sort of very much in the process of rolling out, going through Facebook groups I'm a member of around niche site building, SEO, affiliate marketing, same with Reddit subreddits and forums and so on. There's a lot of people complaining that I've lost a whole lot of traffic, 20, 30, 40, 50%, and I have a website that has great quality content because I pay for writers who are writing by hand, or I'm writing it myself and there's no AI, and why have I lost traffic? And basically, while I feel very sorry for these individuals, and I've had one of my own websites actually be quite negatively affected by this update, although it's only a very much sort of side project for me, so it's not the end of the world, there's a fundamental misunderstanding or sort of disconnect here, which I spoke about before the update actually rolled out. Everyone fixated, or at least a lot of people fixated on the AI side of things. So they looked at what Google was saying about this update and thought, oh, well, this is just going to target AI sites. You don't have to do much browsing through Facebook groups or forums to see people pretty much boasting about their AI sites actually improving in terms of ranking and traffic following this update, whereas people with genuine sites where they feel they've got quality content have actually suffered. And this is where the big issue comes in the discussion point for this video, is that content quality is a very subjective measure, right? It's not something objective. So Usain Bolt is objectively a better runner or sprinter than I am. I would never be able to run as fast as him. A Ferrari is objectively a faster car than a Toyota Corolla, unless it's some sort of crazy modified Toyota Corolla. There are things that are objective in life, but content quality of anything really in some respects, is a subjective measure. And so just because you think your content is good quality, just because you think a competitor's content is bad quality, doesn't necessarily mean that someone else is going to see it the same way, and it doesn't mean that Google's algorithm is going to see it the same way either. And this is where a lot of the sort of challenge and frustration and upset with this algorithm update around helpful content is coming from, because a lot of people will have it in their mind that because they write articles themselves, they're automatically good quality, or because they are paying a article writer slightly more than a sort of minimum per 100-word rate, that it's good quality content. But that isn't necessarily true. The truth is that in just about any niche you can imagine, any industry, there is too much content that is sort of acceptable or decent, but it's all fairly interchangeable. From Google's perspective, all they care about is matching a user's search to basically a plausible response that answers the question convincingly enough and well enough that that user is satisfied with the response they've been given, particularly around information type searches. Obviously with products it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, if you take any kind of question, how do I train my dog to stop barking? How do I get my baby to sleep better at night? And how do I change the oil in my car? Whatever the case may be, any of those kind of questions, there are literally thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of quality answers that Google could pick from. Okay, on the extreme end of the spectrum, there will be total junk, just garbage AI written content, spun content, stuff that's been written by chimpanzees banging away on typewriters, whatever the case may be. On the other end, you've got sort of, extremely good quality content that, maybe is too technically presented for Google to even really understand what it's about. But the big problem is in the middle, sort of bell curve looking distribution. You've got tons and tons of websites all creating pretty decent quality content that doesn't necessarily stand out from the pack. It's a bit like if you imagine, say like a sort of academic class, there are loads and loads of students typically who produce decent enough term papers and exam results and so on that, yeah, they're not performing poorly, they're not necessarily standing out in the class, but picking between any of those as to who's better, not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And so Google's challenge is that they're presented with this overwhelming sort of variety of quality content that answers any given question. You as a website owner, as a niche site creator, affiliate marketer, whatever the case may be, you may feel that your content is great quality, And objectively, it might be quite good in terms of the research you've done and the way you've presented it and so on. But from a subjective perspective, is it any better than the next niche site or affiliate marketing site or info site down the track? Is it any better than a real-world business that's doing blogging or content creation to try and sell physical products or services, for example? That's really, I think, where a lot of the sort of frustration and almost misunderstanding with this update comes from. People got it into their mind that it was just going to be Google finding AI sites based off footprints or something like that, and then smashing those out of the search rankings. And instead, what seems to have happened is a lot of genuine, well-intentioned website owners and content creators have been penalized by Google, not because they've necessarily done anything wrong, but simply because Google has an overwhelming choice for almost every keyword, at least info keyword imaginable, in terms of content that it could pick from. All of it's often pretty good quality. It might not be the best quality, but in terms of just, is it laid out reasonably well? Is the grammar decent and so on? It's quality. And Google doesn't do an amazing job of, as I've talked about in the past, of necessarily understanding that sort of truly standout quality. That's why they rely on things like backlinks to assess the quality of a site or a page, because Google can't really tell very easily if a piece of content was written by a true industry expert or someone who is kind of repurposing content that other people have created in the past. And so I'd be keen to hear your take on this, but my view is that a lot of the challenges that niche site creators, affiliate marketers, and even just digital marketers who are creating content for any business purpose are facing at the moment, these issues really stem from the fact that Google has so many potential content sources to pick from, and quality content is such a subjective measure that unless you find a very unique way to package your content and present it, or you've got some kind of amazing methodology or research process you follow to create the content, or you're doing something that no one else can do, or you've got a very, very strong domain and brand, it's very hard to stand out. And basically anytime one of these updates comes along, you're always a little bit at risk, because what's Google going to do? They're basically going to rejig their algorithm. And do they really care if they put your site out of the top 10 or out of the top 3 or out of the first position for a search like how to stop your dog from barking, if there's another website that can slot into that #1 spot that is every bit as good from the end user's perspective? So just a bit of food for thought there. I'd be keen to hear your take on it. How have you found your website performance following this helpful content update? What are your tips for creating genuine quality content that's objective quality rather than necessarily subjective quality? Love to hear your take. Please leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.